When I come to speak in the subcontinent, I very often get asked to slow down so that we can get you to your morning snacks closer to time than we might. I'm going to ask you to speed up your listening. So if we meet in the middle, then we'll get this done. And I'll massage what I've brought to you today, because here's the thing, I'm here to serve you. So I will do that by taking some stuff out. All right, so we're talking about emotional intelligence, the key to happiness in the workplace. And before we get into any of the content, I want to disrupt your thinking a little bit today. And I want you to understand with me that happiness is not a feeling. It's a doing. You do happy. I do happy. It's not a state that I need to be in. The second thing I want us to understand is that happiness is not really the goal. It's the word that we use in the workplace. It's the word that we use in the world. But happiness, when we look at emotions, is down here. And there are so many more experiences beyond the emotion of happiness, like elation and ecstasy. And whilst we have a great theme here for our Congress, I want us to understand that chasing happiness is like chasing work-life balance. It's a buzzword, it's a myth, to be honest, where it says that work is separate to life, which we know that work is just a part of our life. And happiness is the same. We are created happy. Thank you, Swami, for all the religions that you honoured today, and all of us are created with happiness as being part of our core being. So I want to disrupt our thinking as we go into these next 3 days and make us realise that it's not something that we're chasing, it's already there. So what I want to do is give you something that is more tangible around your roles in HR as to how you can bring more happiness in the workplace. See, emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of your emotion and then to manage your response to what's going on, to what you're feeling. And as you go through this, I'm sure you'll agree with me that to be happy, we need to be in control and manage our emotions. See, we choose to feel happy. So to feel happy, we need to understand when we're not. We need to understand when we are going through emotions that are leading on a different path. And instead of waiting until we get unhappy and then endeavouring to flip that to happy, to recognise those emotions that lead to unhappiness in our life, and for each of us it's different. And to do that, we need to firstly increase our vocabulary around emotions. You know, most of us have about 6 to 10 that we use. And in that, we're either happy or we're... Wow, they're thinking, this guy's interactive, look out. We're either happy or we're... Right, so, and then there's others, you know, we might be angry. We might be frustrated, and we all have a very small vocabulary. There's about 2,000 words in the English language alone to describe an emotion that we could be going through in any one moment. And in fact, we can be going through more than one emotion at a time. I could be, in fact, happy and sad about the same thing. To take the exact example, I use it all the time, of going to a celebration of someone's life when they've passed. I can be sad for the loss of that relationship here on earth. But I can also be happy that I know that they're going to a place where, the pain that they might have been going through or whatever has been relieved. So this complex emotion and emotional states that we go through, we need to be able to help people to navigate that. I do a lot of work around the neuroscience of emotions and the neurotransmitters and the parts of the brain that regulate our emotions, etc. And by doing that, we're able to get people to understand why they think and behave and feel the way that they do. See, IQ's not enough. And our experience and my experience over many years in the workplace in doing what I do, both in my military, then corporate, and now in my own career as a trainer and coach and consultant, is that we invest so much of our energy in the technical, and we hire for technical ability. And then all the challenges we have are around the person. And this word that I am very challenged by, soft skills. Now here's the thing. My experience, and I'm sure yours too, why? Because you're human, is that sometimes they are not the soft ones. They're the ones that eat your lunch. They're the ones that create the problems. And if I was to ask you to think about the last 90 days of your life and the times when you were having a lot of challenge in your work, in the balance of probability, I'm pretty certain that it'll be about relationships. It'll be about the way that you're working with people. It won't be about your technical skill. And it's all about behaviour. Emotions lead to behaviour. What we do is we tend to measure and change behaviour. By the way, I find language so important. And even the word change, and me saying the word change, to some people creates a state in their brain and bodily functions of overwhelm. So people don't want to be changed. People don't want to be managed. And if we can help them to regulate their own behaviour by empowering them around their emotional intelligence, we're going to get people that will work well together. It's grounded in neuroscience, as I said. I'm going to speed this up and take some of the time back. And as I said, they're crucial competencies. These are not soft skills that we give a little smattering of those. And I know in your roles in HR that you don't get to make all the decisions. And I know because you are people like me, that you would like to do more and more with these things. And I'm very often called in to speak to the senior leaders and help them to understand how emotional intelligence, which does affect happiness and so many other things, has a dramatic effect on the bottom line. So you can get the attention of the CEO and the CFO in particular when we realise that they're crucial competencies. But it starts with awareness. We need to be able to help people to be aware as to why they are feeling the way they're feeling. We need to be able to help them in the moment to be able to recognise those feelings that are coming up, the thinking patterns that's leading to, the self-talk that it produces, which then leads to behaviour. We need to then train the gaps. These are learned competencies. They're not things that we're born with. And we need to coach for culture. We need to coach for change. And we need an environment, whether it's internal or external, of two things. We need support and accountability. We need support so that people can make incremental change. I don't know about you, but in my corporate career, I would be sent on different courses, etc. And then you would come back and they would think, well, you should have changed now. You should be able to do that. You should be able to be that. But here's the thing. I'm 57 years old now. I am mentally conditioned to be the way that I am wired. So we need an environment with our people where we give them time, space, and empowerment so that they can rewire their brain through neuroplasticity. See, you can significantly increase engagement and productivity through emotional intelligence, reduce stress, and all these things bring more happiness because we're in a world of constant conflict. Conflict with ourselves is where it starts. I know, and I ask this question all the time, and many people agree with me, that the relationship that I have the biggest challenge with on a daily basis is the one that I have with myself. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I am very much on social media, and I put something out there which a lot of people related to, and that is that nobody's alone on Valentine's Day. Because all love starts with self-love. So that constant conflict with ourselves, but then also with others. Because have a look around, people are different. People have different ideas, different ways of thinking. And this creates low engagement. When we are emotionally not operating in the way that we could perhaps do, it saps our energy. Because we're down in the limbic brain, and I won't go too much into it, but we're down in the limbic brain. And I don't know about you, but I've had times when I would get into a conversation with someone, a discussion, a conflict, and it might go on for like 2 or 3 hours. And I know you've had them as well. And at that point, I've got no clue what we originally started disagreeing on. Is there anyone else that's done that with me, like me? Yeah? The reason is that we've now gone down into the emotion of it, and we don't care about the logical outcome. We want to help people to be able to work from their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's there for emotional regulation. And when we're feeling that way, when we're able to do that, then we're obviously going to be happier. Decreased productivity, that's, about 9 o'clock in the morning. And increased talent turnover. It's people we know, they don't leave jobs, they leave relationships, they leave bosses. But we can have inspirational leaders. We can have team unity and collaboration where the oars are hitting the water at the same time and everyone's going in the same direction with a common purpose when we build these skills. Raving fans who, like I've heard so many about Dr. Bhatia this morning, just speak so highly of where they work and they want to stay. And those savings in talent turnover costs are dramatic. And increased productivity, not just the bottom line, but in overall lifestyle. So let's talk about the happiness case. We work in workplaces where there are toxic emotions. And that affects people's happiness, the way they feel when they go home of a night. I know in my own career that I used to take work home with me. And I don't mean physical work, I mean in here. And it would affect my happiness at home. Workplace bullying, it is a high level, right across the world. And by the way, before I move on to chronic stress, I work for the bully, not just the bullied. Because the reason why there's bullying is the bully is not able to control their emotions and they're not empowered. There's chronic stress. There's a negative impact where employees have lost their happiness. Increased sick leave, and not just people going away with actual sicknesses. Put your hand up if you've ever had a day off work. No one's watching. Have you ever had a day off work when you weren't sick? Yeah. You just didn't want to be there. And then we've got presenteeism, which is different to absenteeism. It says, I'm at work, but I'm not really here. And there's about 20% of the population in the employment around the world that are actually actively disengaged, looking to leave you and go work somewhere else because they're not happy. This thing only works every now and then. There we go. But we can lower stress levels. When you are lower in your stress levels, you feel happier. You can have healthier relationships. Remember when you were a child. You might have a fight with your best friend. It was over and done with and you forgot about it by recess. My little girl, who is my youngest by 2 minutes, I have boy and girl twins. They're my fourth and fifth child. And she has this friend that she's had for a long time, and she's her BFF, we all know what that is, SK. Her best friend forever since kindergarten. That's pretty serious. And I remember this day when I'd come out of the corporate world because it was affecting my happiness, and I was investing time with my kids, and I said, "Hey, honey, how'd your day go?" And she said, "Daddy, I'm not happy." I said, "What's wrong, son, darling?" And she goes, "Emma and I had a fight today, and we're not friends anymore." And it really affected her happiness. This was on Wednesday. I came home from the office on Friday, and Emma was at our house for a sleepover. Kids can move on, adults not so much, but we can have that when we regulate our emotions. We can have high levels of resilience where we can bounce forward from adversity, and we can develop workplace happiness overall. So emotional intelligence are the key skills, but it starts with self-awareness. We then need to go to self-management. So I'm aware of my emotions, but now how do I manage those? So in emotional intelligence, there's 13 competencies that I work with people to help them get their awareness and then manage the behaviour. Because it's pointless just having the awareness if we don't do anything with it. It's like you coming to this Congress and being served and loved and getting heaps of information for 3 days and then going home and going, "Well, that was great, I'll just do nothing with it." And then there's social awareness, which is in social intelligence. It's being able to have empathy and to have a service orientation and awareness of what others might be going through. And then relationship management skills and 10 competencies. Now here's the thing, those 10 competencies, and I won't go through them all for the sake of time, but those 10 competencies are the soft skills. They're like communication and interpersonal effectiveness and building bonds and trust and teamwork and collaboration, etc. Inspirational leadership. And a lot of organisations will grab someone like me and say, "Come in and teach us that." But here's the problem with that. Unless we build the foundation around the person and help them to be aware and to be able to regulate their own emotions, how can we possibly expect them to take those soft skills and use them in their relationships with others? So if you are working around those soft skills, etc., predominantly, this is not me standing up here correcting you. This is me standing up here empowering you to say the key to getting the most out of your training and development dollar is to make sure that we start with the right foundations around their emotional intelligence. So I'm going to go over here and get rid of a few of these slides because I'm mindful of, I want to actually get you out of here, and I'm mindful that the next speaker, even though I've got plenty of my time left, but I'm just, because you can come and visit me out at my stand in the exhibition And I can talk about emotional intelligence until, 10 o'clock tonight, and then some. But I'm not going to do it here. But I want us to understand, and I wanted to start the Congress by helping us to understand, as I said, is that happiness is a decision that we make to bring out of what's already within us. It's part of who we are. And the way that we navigate our emotions definitely has an impact on whether or not we are happy. I don't know about you, but I certainly know about me. I have had times in my career, in my life, where I've had a pity party, where you couldn't help me to be happy if you tried. Because I'd formed beliefs about myself and about the world and about what was going on and about what you said about me and about whatever. And choosing to stay unhappy meant that I was in a safe zone and I didn't have to do anything. So emotional intelligence, indeed social and emotional intelligence, empowers us to be able to overcome those limiting beliefs. One of the key competencies that I want to talk about is in the realm of self-awareness, and it's personal power. And in the work that I do every week all around the world, it's the one that I invest the most time in. There's 26 competencies, as I said. This one, in my experience and opinion, is number one. And it's that competency that allows us to say, I feel empowered, good enough, if you will, to be able to be who I need to be in every area of my life. And I have everything within me and around me to get ahead and to navigate this thing called life. And in the workplace, we've got this new word that we've had for a few years now called VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We stole it from the American military, and it serves us well. But with all that going on, we can have an erosion of that personal power, where we listen to what other people say. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt said it so well, what other people think of you is none of your business. Yet we base how we feel about ourselves around what other people say. You know, it's like the word human resources. I would love to have the opportunity somehow to influence a new word, because we're not a resource, we're people. We're not human doings, we're human beings. And these skills that I'm talking about, developing this personal power, is so vital with the expectations that we have from our people. Now, I know that I'm preaching to the converted here, and hopefully I'm giving you a different way to take a message back so that you can get these skills going and help more people to make a choice. Not for you to make them happy, that's not your role, but for them to feel the happiness that's already inside them. I'm going to, if it's okay, finish a little bit early so that we can get the next speaker up here, because I'm mindful of the fact that you've been here for a while already. But as I said, I'm out here for the next 3 days, and I'm more than happy for you to pop up and have a chat to me. I have one of my team members has come up from Chennai. Dr. Sandia, are you in the room yet? If you can give me a wave. There she is. Let's give her a hand, everyone. Oh, we can do better than that. Come on. And Dr. Sandia will be there as well. She is an amazing young lady who I'm mentoring. Because here's the thing, I love coming to India. I've been here 10 times in the last 4 years, and I'll continue to do that. There are many, many people in this country who can and do what I do. So my role and my aim now is to mentor those people, and Sandy will be out there. She's also speaking on Sunday, so she can answer the questions as well. She's got a PhD, which I don't. She has a PhD. She did her thesis in emotional intelligence. She's an international speaker and trainer. So between the two of us, we can hopefully answer your questions. Drop your card in there as well, and I will connect with each of you personally. So emotional intelligence, social intelligence, the key to happiness in the workplace. It's been my absolute privilege. Thank you again, Dr. Bhatia, for giving me the opportunity to speak to your people, and I shall hand it back over to yourself. Thank you very much.